Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do Winnie the Pooh. If I sit him up, he's not going to fit in the frame. He's fairly big. You've seen the measurements on the screen. If you didn't, this is made separately, so it does come off him. Let's start with his arms and his legs. He's got a little thumb on each hand. So let's start with his arms and his legs, and then we'll get to his body, his head, and everything else. This may be a two-parter. I haven't decided yet. Let's get started. I am using a 4-weight worsted. The color is school bus yellow. I'm pretty sure I do not have the tag. Sometimes when I make cakes, I only use tag for one of the cakes, and then I end up throwing it out because I'm not too bright. I'll be using a 4.5 millimeter. There's no letter associated with this that I know of, so let's jump right into this. We are going to start with the feet. I'm going to turn my light down just a little tiny bit. So you want to make a slip knot, and you're going to chain 7. You're going to do 3 single crochets, so 1 in each stitch. You're going to do 2 half doubles. You've got 1 stitch left, and in this last stitch you're going to put 4 doubles all in the same space. 4 double crochets. That's what it should look like. So pull your slip knot tight and then turn it to the side. This is where your slip knot is. You're going to have to get into the stitch right next to your slip knot, and you're going to put a half double crochet. The next stitch gets a half double crochet. And then you're going to do 3 singles. So it's exactly what we did on the other side. We just mirrored it. And then 3 brings you right back up here. I'm just weaving in my tail from my slip knot, in case you're wondering what I'm doing. If it's too awkward for you, you don't have to. My yarn is not coming out of my cake very well. Okie dokie, so we're going to put a stitch marker in when we start this next row. You can just leave this guy hanging now. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets. So in your very first single crochet, put that stitch marker just so you know that you're doing everything correctly. That's number 1. So don't think this is number 1. Sorry, that's my dog. Don't think this is number 1. You got to go over here because you're already in there. It's just elongated. So you got to go into the next stitch. So that's 2, 3, and 4 single crochets. There's work being done next door at the neighbors. My dog is freaking out. The next 2 stitches are going to get 2 half double crochets in each stitch. So you're going to see me write it with a bracket. That's what those brackets indicate. Same space. So 2 half doubles in the same space. Do it again in the next stitch, 2 half doubles. The next 4 stitches are going to get 2 double crochets in each. Now you're going to do, these 2 stitches are going to get 2 half doubles in the same space. And then your last stitches are going to get single crochets. Just like that. So your next round is going to be done in the back loops only. So, oh, let me get my pointer thing. These are your back loops. So you don't have to turn this over. They're looking right at you. Standing right up there. So you're just going to go into that back loop and you're going to make your stitch. Put your stitch marker in that first one. And you're going to do that all the way around. Now, I take my finger and push. If you're struggling, I just take my finger and I push that piece onto my hook. I don't actually try to get my hook onto the back loop. That's how I do it. It's easier for me because I was struggling to get, you know, there's things that everybody struggles with, and that was one of mine. Is trying to get into that back loop. So I stopped trying and now I just use my finger and push the loop onto my hook. It's hard to see because I do it so quickly now. But trust me, that's what I'm doing. You should have 23 stitches. Those are the numbers I wrote down. I think I'm already one short, but it does not matter. It'll still look like a foot when we're done. That's why I'm just going to keep going. So now your next round is going to be 1 single crochet, the exact same thing we just did, but it's going to be in a full stitch. So just a regular single crochet all the way around. So I was right. I was short 1 stitch. I should have had 23 and I had 22. So this last stitch I just put 2 in, so it brings me up to 23 stitches. I'm not sure what went wrong, but so this next round we're going to start decreasing the toe area. So right now we're on the heel. So I'm going to make this the toe area. So we need to decrease that. So we're going to do 10 single crochets. That's number 1 with your marker. That's 10 single crochets. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease 2 times. So that's 1 single crochet and then your decrease. That's once. 1 single crochet and then your decrease. That's twice. And now you should have 7 single crochets back to your marker. So our next round is going to be 5 single crochet decrease. That's over the entire foot. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. It's funny looking right now. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So for the next 10 rows, you're going to put, you should have 15 stitches. So that for the next 10 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. If you have one of these, then that is fantastic. This is called a row counter. This one's from Hobby. I got it for free just for ordering, along with my candy. But you can buy them on Amazon. I don't have one handy to show you, I don't think. You can buy them on Amazon too for cheap, like in bulk too, so you can get 3 in a package. So anyway, do your 10 rows. Don't forget to stuff as you go, and I will see you to finish the leg after you're done. So this is my 10 rows. This is what you should have. So we got a few more rows left. We're going to cinch the top shut because we're going to sew it on through and through, like a stuffed bear. Do you know what I mean? All the way through and all the way through. So his legs turn, they can still move. So you're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1 with your marker. That's 3 single crochets and then a decrease. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will take you down to 9 stitches. Don't forget, you've still got to stuff. So before we do the last one, we'll have to stuff. That's number 1. That's 2 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So before we do the last bit, which isn't a whole lot necessary, but you can cinch it now if you want to, I'm just going to finish stuffing. So your last row is just going to be decrease 3 times, and then we're going to cinch it up. So you don't need your marker anymore. There's decrease number 1, decrease number 2. I just wanted more of the decrease at the back. Decrease number 3, if you wanted to keep going, you can. However, I think it's not necessary. So fasten off. You're going to need a long tail because, like I said, we're going through the body. So we're going through and through because we want his legs to still move. So we're going to give him movable legs so he can stand up or he can sit down. Mine sits down all the time, but that's me. But I don't have my grandkids here playing with it all the time. Actually, this one's going to my daughter. So you want a long sewing tail. Unless you don't want to do that and you just want to sew your legs on so they don't move, then you can do that too. It's not up to me, it's up to you. But how I designed this was movable legs and movable arms. So we're doing the same thing with the arms. We're going to cinch the top shut. So you're going to go into the first one piece. This is the whole stitch. You don't need the whole stitch, you just need the front. You're going to go in, you're going to go out. Just in that front loop. You're going to go in and out. So do it till you come back around to your knot. And then just pull. And that'll cinch that hole, but you still want to secure that cinch. So just go through with your needle. Go through the loop so you can make a knot. When you pull this knot down, pull it back and forth and it tightens it. So, because you're sewing the leg on, you're going to need to come down and out the side. So go down as close as you can to this guy, just so it looks like a stitch. And then just pop out on the side because you're going to sew it to the body like that. And then when you pull, that'll pull that bump right down. So that bump will not be noticeable from your cinch. So go ahead and make your second leg. Shouldn't take you long. And I'll meet you back here and we'll get the arms done. So to start the arms, we're going to be using a 4mm G hook to make the thumb. So we'll make the thumb first, and then we're going to switch back to our 4.5, and we're going to build the hand and crochet the thumb on. That's how we're going to do this. It's still pretty quick. So you're going to make a magic ring. And you're going to put 4 single crochets inside this magic ring. You're going to do 1 single crochet in an increase, bringing you up to 6 stitches. Now you can use a stitch marker, but you're going to do this twice. You only have 4 stitches. So this first stitch is 1 single crochet. Your next stitch is going to get 2 single crochets in the same space. Oops. The next stitch is going to get 1 single crochet. Pretty tiny. And then the next stitch is going to get 2 single crochets in the same space. So at this point, you can flip it till it's right side in. And that's your magic ring. It's going to kind of look crooked a little bit. But that's because we're building this in amigurumi. So we're building in a spiral. I like to just stick, if you have round hooks, my end of my hook in there. And then pull to tighten my magic ring. And then you tend not to lose the shape that you got right there. So for the next 2 rows, you have 6 stitches. This is small, it's just a tiny little thumb. So for the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. Again, you can use a stitch marker. I just counted to 12. So that's my thumb. You're going to go into the next stitch. We're not stuffing this, by the way. You're going to fasten off. So fasten off with a tiny little sewing tail because you're going to want to sew this to your hand just to keep it in place. This guy, you can just cut him off a little bit and then stick him down in there. That's about as much stuffing as we're doing, is that tail. So this will get sewn to your hand just to keep it in place. So, I mean, not as serious. So, couple of stitches. You can put your 4mm away, grab your 4.5, get this hand done. We're going to do a magic ring. And we're going to put 6 single crochets in here. Down in the description below, I have a link. You can go buy me a coffee to support me and my channel if you'd like. And there you will find extras such as patterns that you can print out in PDF form that you can, they're not free, but I mean, or you can just buy me a coffee. You don't need to even pay for the pattern, but if you want a pattern, there's patterns there. And you can buy me a coffee. So you just go check that out. That just supports my channel, helps me out. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. After your first, oh, I almost dropped it. After your first stitch, that's where the stitch marker goes. And then you can put stitch number 2 in that same space. This will bring you up to 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase. And now we skipped a step. So you can repeat this all the way around, and then you can do 1 single crochet in each stitch for the next 3 rows, and I will see you on the other side. So here is where we're going to add the thumb. Excuse me. So I'm just going to thread my thumb. So I always sew stuff on, and if you've followed me long enough, you know this. I always sew stuff on right next to the marker. So this is what you want to do. This is where I fastened off. So you're going to put that right at the stitch that you want to go into, which is the one right next to the marker, or wherever you're putting yours. So you're going to use that stitch to sew. So I'm just going to go through that space again just to make sure it's good. You can use that stitch, and then you can go over here and use the second stitch to sew. So you're just kind of tacking because you are crocheting this on, so you don't need to sew, like make a huge deal about sewing. But I'm going to go through the loop, and I am going to make a knot. But then that just goes down inside this guy. So when we crochet, we're going to crochet around the thumb now, and that is how we add a thumb to our hands. Something like you'd do to make mittens. That's the same concept. So now we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, going around the thumb. This one's free to put your marker in. That's why I always go right next to the marker. And you can't really lose your spot. So I don't have any more stitches. I'm going to go into the next stitch available, which is that one right there. Oops, sorry, on camera might be helpful. That one right there. just keep everything, you know, tight-ish. So then just follow your stitches around your thumb. And this is going to be the last stitch I can get into. I have no more stitches. So I come across to the first stitch I can get into on my hand. Whoops. Don't be like Tara. So the first stitch I can get into on my hand, I'm going to keep everything tight, make my stitch, and then just carry about my business like it's a regular day. All the way back to your marker. Initially I wrote down that I had 20 stitches when I did this, but I don't know. I'm not counting. Numbers seem to change when you sew stuff on like this. And I don't really know how you sewed yours on. You could have used 3 stitches for all I know. I mean, you only had 6, so I don't know. I don't know what you did. So I'm just going to belt out the numbers that I have. Yours may be different, but as long as it looks like a hand, it's no big deal. So your next round is, we're going to start decreasing because we need to make this look like a hand. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. So this is number 1 with your marker. So just follow your stitches. Now they're going to be small. The ones here where you go from hand to thumb and thumb to hand, they're going to be smaller stitches because you pulled tight there, right? So just make sure you're getting into the stitches available. That's number 2, and then your decrease. And repeat all the way around. When you're done this, the next 2 rows, you can just put 1 single crochet in each stitch. I had 15 stitches when I was done this. So I'll put my screen prompt up, and you can, I'm not going to be able to finish my sequence. If you can't finish your sequence, then just put single crochets in here. So I'm going to put my screen up, and you can do your 2 rows of single crochets. And I will see, or sorry, 2 rows. Is that what I said before? 12. We're building an arm. 12 rows of single crochets. And I will, like I said, I don't even know how many stitches I have. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Yeah, I got 15 stitches, which is an odd number, so it's probably why my sequence didn't finish. So if you can't finish your sequence, just put single crochets in there. It's not a huge deal. Not a big deal. So my screen prompt's going to say 12 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 15 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Stuff along the way, but don't stuff your thumb. It'll make it stick out too far. So that is my 12 rows. Stick some stuffing into this because we're gonna close it up. Much the same way that we did the leg. We're gonna cinch the top because we're doing the same thing. We're gonna sew on the arms that are gonna be through and through so that you can move the arms. So we just have a couple more rows. And then we can shove some more down there. I hope you didn't stuff your thumb because stuffing the hand makes it stick out enough. And then if you were to stuff it, it would really just look horrible. That's why I said don't stuff the thumb. So, we're going to do a 1 single crochet decrease. This will bring you down to 10 stitches. That's 1 single crochet, so you jump right into your decrease. And repeat. And again, if you can't finish your sequence, just put single crochets in there. Not a huge deal. And now we're just going to decrease 5 times and we can cinch. So you don't need your marker anymore. That's 1 decrease. 2 decrease. 3. 4. Gives you a pretty small hole. Fasten off. Again, with a long sewing tail, because you're going to go through and through. You're going to go through his entire body and back again. So you're not just going to do it once, you're going to do it twice. Finish stuffing this. You can get a pinky or a hook in there. And then we can cinch this bad boy up. We want to make sure there is stuffing at the top because we're going to be using this for sewing. So it needs to be stuffed all the way to the top. So we're going to do another cinch. So just the the front loop in and out. Only got a couple stitches here. In and out. Pull that closed, make a knot to secure your cinch. Pull back and forth, tighten that down. And then again, so when you sew it to your doll, your thumb has to stick out away from the body, toward the front of the body, not the back of the body. That's where your thumb is going to go. So for each one of these, you have to decide which side that you're going to be on with your because one side's going to be out this way for your right hand, left hand facing me, or it's going to be out this way for the other side of the body. So whatever you do for this one, you have to do the opposite for the other one, just to make sure both your thumbs are sticking out the front of the body. So go ahead and make your second arm. I'll put all my patterns on the screen. And then when we come back, we'll jump right into making the body. So we're back. We're going to make the body from the head down. I'm still using my 4.5 for this. And you're going to make another magic ring. You're going to put 6 single crochets in here. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch, you're going to put your marker in. Then you can put stitch number 2 in the same space. So 2 in each stitch gives you 12 stitches when you come back around. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. 1 single crochets. I'll put an S on the end of that, which is plural. 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, bringing you up to 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This brings you up to 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. I made this easy peasy. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets. Then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, bringing you up to 30 stitches. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, bringing you up to 36 stitches. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This brings you up to 42 stitches. For the next 6 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 42 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Alright, so he has such a weird head. This is the beginning. Now we're going to increase one more time, and then we're going to do multiple rows again. So your next increase is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, because we did stop at 5. So he's got some cheekies in there we're going to make. It's really not going to be extremely noticeable. We're only doing 1 row. So that's number 1. That's 6 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So when you're done this, I want you to do 5 rows. You should have 48 stitches. So I want you to do 5 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what it should look like. It's looking pretty funny right now. But that's the shape of his head. It's very long. So, just in the process. But it does look funny. So we're going to start decreasing. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochet decrease, because we ended with 6 single crochet increase. I almost said 5. So that's number 1. That is 6 single crochets, and then your decrease. So this brings you down to 42 stitches. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 36 stitches. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your decrease. If you're doing just a regular decrease, keep it loosey-goosey. If you're, you can do an invisible decrease. And repeat 5 single crochets and decrease. But your decreases are going to be almost on top of your other decreases, so you're either going to want to keep it loose so it's not that noticeable, or you can do an invisible decrease. Next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 30 stitches. You can stuff this at any time. Goes number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. Next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. This brings you down to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. So I'm going to start stuffing mine a little bit. So I like to push all my stuffing out to the edge and then fill the middle. That's the way I like to do it. That's good enough for now. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. It'll be a little harder to hold on to now. That's number 1. It's number 2, and then your decrease. So we're building the body onto the head. So we're not going to be decreasing all the way to close this up. So you should have 18 stitches. This next round we're going to aggressively increase, because we need to start building the shoulder area. So we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch, that's when your marker goes in, and stitch number 2 in the same space. So this will give you 36 stitches, 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. This will bring you up to 54 stitches. It's going to get squishy. That's 1 single crochet and then an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So once you're done this, you can do 7 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 54 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have at this point. And I think that's probably about all the time we have for part 1. We've gotten a lot done. So I will see you in part 2. Thanks for joining me, guys. And if you want to go buy me that coffee, the link's in the description.